The god of heaven bestowed food upon the starving villagers, but they complained that it was too little. They took up their bows and arrows and shot the god dead, even turning his arms into divine tools to endlessly scoop out food. Due to a once-in-a-century locust plague devastating the crops, many villagers were left to starve to death. The village chief, out of options, sought the help of the god of heaven with a glimmer of hope. Suddenly, a burst of thunder flashed, and the god indeed appeared before his eyes. Before the village chief could even voice his needs, the god threw down a suckling pig as a gift. Overjoyed, the village chief took the food and returned to the village. Back home, he cut the suckling pig into several pieces, helping those on the brink of starvation. To express their gratitude for the god's life-saving grace, the village chief led everyone to kneel and worship. Moved by their sincerity, the god bestowed even more food. Soon, people discovered the existence of benefits within this arrangement and specifically built an altar on the spot. The god continued to provide a suckling pig with each worship just as before. However, as the population continued to grow, the limited food could no longer be reasonably distributed. A terrifying thought surfaced in the village chief's mind. One day, as the villagers worshipped at the altar as usual, the god appeared. The village chief immediately drew his bow and arrow, shooting at the god. Unable to dodge in time, the god sacrificed his life. With the help of the villagers, the village chief wielded his machete, chopping off the arm that could produce suckling pigs. After some modifications, they turned it into a new machine. By pulling the operating lever, the top of the machine would generate an electric current, stimulating the arm to produce food. Everything was arranged in an orderly manner, with the villagers each fulfilling their duties, busy with their own work. The suckling pigs in the small carts would be dumped onto the conveyor belt, processed by external machines, and turned into pork chops. To obtain the food, the poor had to place their money on the conveyor belt, which would be transmitted to the vault storage box and ultimately end up in the village chief's pocket. He also made a lot of money from this invention and moved into a luxurious palace. However, this way of life did not last long. One day, a mass of dark clouds enveloped the area near the village chief's home. With a flash of lightning, the palace was instantly reduced to rubble. Before the village chief could react, he looked up and saw the god's severed arm begin to move. In an instant, the god reappeared before him. Terrified, the village chief immediately turned and fled. During his escape, he discovered that the god who appeared this time was not only ugly in appearance, but also exceptionally fierce in nature. With just a roar, all the civilization in the village began to crumble. The village chief didn't have time to think much and quickened his pace, but he accidentally tripped and fell. The crown on his head also shattered into several pieces. At that moment, the city and power he had painstakingly built were completely destroyed. When the god firmly grasped him in his hand, he still hoped for another chance. Just then, the god swallowed him whole.